beach fishing with live bait on a run-in tide. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne, and in today's video I'm fishing at this amazing spot using some live mullet that I caught earlier. I've got a beautiful little hole behind me and I'm just going to pop some live mullet in there and wait. And you know what I'm fishing for, don't you? I won't use the word, but it's going to be epic. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So I'm going to show you my method. I'm actually adopting this from our friends in South Africa who do a lot of beach fishing. There's a few different ways that you can hook live bait, so come on over. I'll show you what I got in my bucket and how we're going to hook it up. Hey, if you're enjoying this content and you're finding it helpful, make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because it really helps my channel. All right, let's get into it. There are many ways to hook a live mullet, but I'm adopting a tactic that our friends in South Africa use with live mullet, where they use a couple of cable ties to attach the mullet to their line, which means that the whole hook is exposed, which improves your chance of hookup. Also, the way you do it helps the mullet to stay alive. It doesn't impede it when it's breathing. So what you do is you get yourself a mullet. Now, I'm new to this method, so this is something I've done doing for the first time on this trip. Is you get your cable tie, you put it at the back of the eye socket of the mullet, just got to get it in here, and you feed it through till it comes out the other side. You then put this, you then close the cable tie. Oops. Just pull that up a bit so that I think that's about enough because it's not a huge mullet. Now I'm going to trim this cable tie. I'm going to put him back in there for a second. Now I attach a second cable tie. So I'll just get Mr. Mullet. His destiny is to be eaten by a big fish. So now I attach a second cable tie, which is going to be tightened around the hook. So I'm going to put this through the first cable tie. Oh, just stay still. Hook it back through. And I'm going to tighten this up nearly all the way, because in a minute I'm going to put my hook through the loop there and then tighten it right up, and then I'll trim this off. So actually I'm just going to let him sit in there for a second and just get adjusted, have a few breaths. I've had him out of the water. Uh-oh. That sand must have been pretty soft, or I didn't put the rod holder in far enough. But the tide is coming in, so I saved that one from landing in the sandy mess, wet sandy water. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this guy. Got my line here, my hook ready to go, so he's happily swimming in there. The cable tie is not bothering him too much. So what I'm going to do now is this cable tie here, I'm going to put the hook through this little loop I've made here. And then I'm going to tighten this cable tie as tight as I can so it won't go back over the barb of the hook, and it'll stay on there like so. Get my braid scissors and trim that off. Pick up the tag and put it in my bucket. Ouch. So then my mullet is ready to go. I'll just hold him still. You can see that barb is fully exposed there. When a fish grabs that, and the mullet can swim unhindered, and it doesn't seem to bother him too much being in that position. So I'm going to chuck him out now. That was a pretty good cast. I only put maybe 70% effort into that, but certainly got into a good zone. Now, this line has braid on it, so I've got to be really careful. I don't have like a finger stall or something to wear on my finger. A couple of weeks ago, I had a big run on a rod like this, picked it up, had my finger on the line, and I sliced right across the top of my finger. The braid just cut straight through it. Because obviously I'm an old guy and I haven't been using braid very long. So anyways, I've learnt that lesson. It's not going to happen again. So now I'm just going to enjoy this beautiful afternoon on a reasonably secluded beach. I'm not the only one here, but I've walked up the beach and I'm probably a long way away from the nearest people, so, and it looks really beautiful. We've seen some amazing fish action out there. Just at the back of this gutter here, when the waves were breaking, there was dozens of fish flying down through the waves, and then you could see all the bait fish leaping out of the water, going 100 miles an hour with the big fish chasing them. It's just a big school of salmon, but it looks so awesome in this beautiful place. So now I've got 2 live mullet out there, and still got a good hour and a half before dark actually, but high tide is at 9:30, which is just after dark, so I've got a lovely run-in tide at the moment. This little spot here is filling up. I don't really want to catch salmon, that's not my target species. So I'm going to leave these 2 lines out now, and I've just got a small light rod that I'm going to have a play around with while I've got the live mullet out there, and I'll just keep those restocked with mullet as needed. For you guys who watch my videos regularly, if there's anything that you'd like me to make a video about relating to beach or rock fishing, please put it in the comments, because it helps me. I want to be able to make things that help other fishermen, so I'd really appreciate that if you can put any ideas, any brainstorms that you have for new videos. That'd be really good. Oh, there it goes. I'm just having a play around with my light rod. While I've got those live mullet out, I'm just having a play around with this rod with some pilchard, and got a decent sized salmon leaping out of the water. Looks like more Thai fish cakes on the way. Yeah! They fight so hard on light line, they really do. Whoa, he's a big fat boy. Just got to tire him out just for a little bit. He's got a lot of energy. Whoa! I might try and bring him in with the next wave. So he's taking line. Fishing with this light tackle is really good fun. I can see him. Oh, he keeps taking line. I would pull him in if I could, but I don't want to break the line. This is only 7 kilo line. Here he comes. Oh, I'll try and get him up. No, not quite. He's fat. Gosh, he's fat. He's a really fat boy. I can barely get my hand around him. Oh. That's a beautiful salmon, really super fat. I can't hardly get my hand around him. We've been enjoying eating these while we're waiting for the other big fish to come along. So I'm going to keep him. I'll bleed him, and then I'm just going to check my live baits, make sure that I've got 2 good live baits out there, because now's a really good time to have them in the water. Yeah, that mullet was still nice and pretty lively, so that's good. I didn't throw him out very far that time. I've just dropped him in the edge here because it's quite deep close to shore. So hopefully some nice big mulloway comes sniffing around into this hole just as it's getting dark now. Just going to go and check my other one as well. I don't think this mullet looks very happy anymore. Actually, when I was winding it in then, I felt something hit it, and it held it hard for a minute. And I wasn't sure what it was, but obviously a fish has just cleanly bitten that. I don't think a salmon would do that. That's such a clean bite. I think that would probably be a tailor and not a salmon. So I'll put a new one on and see how we go. I don't think this mullet looks very happy anymore. Actually, when I was winding it in then, I felt something hit it, and it held it hard for a minute. And I wasn't sure what it was, but obviously a fish has just cleanly bitten that. I don't think a salmon would do that. That's such a clean bite. I think that would probably be a tailor and not a salmon. So I'll put a new one on. I had a bite then. Oh yeah. Another big salmon undoubtedly. This is really light line, so I can't just pull this fish in. It's pulling really hard. At least while I'm waiting for a big one, I can have a bit of fun. Oh man. I'm glad it's coming up this way away from my other lines. I prefer that it comes up here. It's a salmon. It hasn't jumped out of the water yet, but it's a salmon. Man, I didn't realise it took a lot of line. What's this guy doing? It's right on the shore. Here he comes. No, I'm not going to get him up. He's halfway up, but oh, he's solid. Man, they're all big. They are all huge. Oh man, how do I pick this guy up? I'm struggling to pick this guy up. He's so big and fat. Beautiful fish. They are so abundant on the New South Wales south coast. Really, they're a great resource. So I'm just going to flick these pilchard baits out again. I've got my 2 live mullet there just doing their thing. And thankfully the salmon aren't touching the live mullet, which is great because I prefer to leave them there for a mulloway and not have them knocked off by the salmon. I'm walking this way a little bit because I don't want to get too close to my 2 main lines. Because if I hook a salmon, it could go that way and tangle up my lines. So I'll count to 10, or maybe 20. See what happens. That's it. I think I had a bite then. See if anything else wants to take it. Today there's a small swell of about 1/2 metre. There's the occasional bigger waves, and it's a southwesterly wind. So we've got an offshore breeze. It's very pleasant down here, that's for sure. Especially as the sun's setting and that full moon coming up, it's amazing. I haven't actually had, well, I have had a bite on one of those live mullet as it got bitten in half when I wound it in, but I haven't actually had a proper take as yet. I think I might just... I don't need to cast out very far. I think I might have even cast out too far then, because the water, the edge here just drops off straight away. It's beautiful. It'd be amazing actually just to go snorkeling in there. You'd probably see a lot of fish. Although with all those, oh, hang on, I'm getting a bite. Hang on, what's going on? It's coming back towards me. Oh, yep. That's strange. It feels like a small one. He's very lively, isn't he? I'm amazed I didn't get bitten off by this tailor because I don't have a trace. Look, the hook's actually going. I'm using a long shank hook. It's actually one of my whiting hooks, believe it or not. It's gone right through from one side of his jaw. Oh, hang on, there he is. It's hooked in the corner. There's no fraying on the line, incredibly. But you know, these are awesome bait for mulloway, and I think while I've got a tailor like this, I'm going to chuck him on. I have this opportunity, and he's not too big, so I'm going to pull in one of those mullet and throw this guy out. The only thing is I'll have to upgrade my hook because these mullet are not huge, so I'm only using a 6/0 hook. The biggest hook that I've got with me is an 8/0. But oh, hang on, look at this. That mullet is gone. All right, time to switch it up to a bigger hook. Okay, time to put this small live tailor on. I've put him in here with my mullet. He is still alive, but tailor don't live very well in this sort of situation. So he's still alive, and hopefully compared to the size of the bait, the hook's pretty small. I could hook him through the jaw, but I think I'm going to put the hook behind the back behind his head. And hopefully there's enough of the barb exposed that it's actually going to catch a big fish in the mouth. But that's the best I can do. I don't want to put it any higher, otherwise he might come off. But hopefully that'll do the trick. There you go, that tailor is flicking around. You can't throw a big bait like that very far. But I don't think I need to throw him very far because there's plenty of depth of water there. There's lots of action in the water with other fish, so my only options on a bait like that is either a big mulloway or a shark. So just got to set my drag appropriately. We're not going to get any small bites with that. All right, back to the pilchards. I improvise a bit sometimes. This is actually a whiting rig. Well, really it was the rig that I was using long shank hooks for large beachworm baits for Mulloway. So this is actually a size 3/0 long shank. But I already had it rigged up, so I'm just going to use it and put pilchards on it. I can still bait it the same way. I'll put my hook through the end of the pilchard, pull it all the way through, and then just pin it at the other end, bring that back around, and then do a half hitch around the tail, and that will hold that bait nicely. This is actually a 2-hook rig, so I have another one down here. It's the same deal. I'm going to put this hook through up near the tail. I've trimmed the tail with my knife. Then I'm going to pin him through down here through the meaty part, pull that back around, then do a half hitch over the top, hold it all in place. So now I have, well, I've got essentially a double paternoster rig with pilchards. If I hook 2 salmon on this, that'll be pretty full on because this is a really light rod and reel. Or if I hook a big mulloway on that, it'll take a little while to get it in. So, yep. What's going on? My bottom hook is gone. I expect that that's probably a tailor because I caught a tailor in my last cast, so it's probably bitten me off. It was much bigger than the last one. It was pretty solid. So this is the second time I've been left with, in this case, just the head of the mullet. He's been hammered. Last time it was half a mullet. I'm still going to chuck out another mullet. I think the tailor have moved in, but I've got some more mullets, so I'll keep going. I'm just going to put this guy on the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to put him through the back. I'm not going to put him through the mouth. Just going to pin him like that and chuck him straight out. And I'm not going to chuck him out very far. Just over the edge, really. Just in here. I don't think he'll last very long. I'm just going to check this live tailor that I threw out because my rod was really bumping erratically. I thought that could be the tailor just swimming, or something could be attacking it. So I want to know that I've got a bait out there that's okay, so I'm going to wind it in and just make sure that my bait is intact. Actually, it doesn't feel like I got any bait. Well, hang on. Oh no. Look at that. That mullet I just threw out is getting hammered. No, the tailor's fine. He's looking good. The tailor is good. Oh man, I better grab that other line. Yeah, something's really nailing that mullet. That tailor was fine, really lively. He's in good condition. So, I'm happy about that. Oh! Aha, look at this. That's a cracking brim that has taken that live mullet. Wow, how's that? I'll just clean him up a bit. That's a beautiful big brim. So this guy took that live mullet. There you go. I better chuck another one out really quick. You know what I think? I think a tailor probably took a couple of chunks out of that mullet and then the brim cleaned it up. That's what I reckon. Okay, time to grab my other rod. Fishing 3 rods. I'm replacing the bottom hook that I had on this rig with some gang hooks because I know there's tailor out there now and I don't want to get bitten off like I did before. So it's a bit of an unusual rig because I'm putting on a whole gang hook with a pilchard, or some people would call it a sardine, or in Western Australia they call it a muley. And then on my top one I'm using a half one. So the top one I don't have. I think the top one I've got a 25-pound fluorocarbon trace, but the tailor will bite through that. And I'm just going to whack this out and hold this. And while I'm fishing with this, I'm going to watch these other 2 rods. But if something takes one of my big baits, I'll be getting rid of this pretty quick and grabbing the other one. I don't think it'll take long to get a bite. This is amazing. You should see the colour of the sky over the back. It's so beautiful. So I'm pushing the limits a little bit with this rod because I've got a 7 kilo main line on a light beach rod with a whole pilchard and a half pilchard for bait. Feels like a brim is having a go at that mullet. I think something else has probably chopped it in half. Just waiting for an appropriate time to set the hook. It's actually really quite... Oh, I got him. No, it's tailor. I had one. I saw it jump out of the water. It was a small tailor. But thankfully everything's in good condition, so I'll quickly put another mullet back on. I thought this was getting a bite. Man, you'd think I've got to hook a big one. I've got so many amazing baits out there. A live tailor on that rod. A live mullet on this rod. Some pilchard on this rod. I don't think it's that big. It might be a small salmon or a tailor. I'm just going to bring this guy in. It's another salmon. Another salmon, not as big as the other salmon, but I'm keeping all three salmon that I've caught so far and that really nice brim because I certainly have a great use for them. Oops. Oh. Oh. This is awesome. How good is this? Gonna take this guy up and rebait. Such a beautiful time of the evening, amazing. Oops, wet legs. Just wet my pants a little bit. Just a stunning evening. Honestly, you've just got to take these moments in and enjoy them. So beautiful. I'm getting a bite though. Just wait and see what's going on. He hasn't come back for it. Had a couple of bang bang bangs, but he didn't go through with it. But I have two baits on this rig, so even if one of them gets taken, I've still got a bait there. While I'm talking to you, I'm watching my other rods, which are just over there. I'm just keeping my eye on them with that live mullet and the live tailor. I had a bite, I just didn't hook up. I had a bite then, but I didn't hook up. I've actually used all of my mullet. I brought 7 live mullet. I caught a large brim on one of them. I've got half a mullet out on one of my lines at the moment because it got chopped in half by probably a tailor. And I've just seen that get whacked a couple of times. I thought I may as well throw that out. It's still a reasonable bait. It's the head half of the mullet. And I've still got that large live tailor out there. I can still tell that the tailor's alive. So I'm going to wind that in a second and just throw it out one more time in this hole just here. Oh, he swam towards me. Yeah, I got it, whatever it is, on that half mullet. It's not huge. Well, I thought I had it. I had it for a moment. But I have a clean hook. Half mullet gone. Okay, well I'm going to retire this line and check my live tailor. Okie doke, going to chuck this one out now. I've just got that tailor out there for a little bit longer. See if anything really big comes into this hole and wants to eat that whole tailor. I would love it if that happens. Okie doke, going to chuck this one out now. I've just got that tailor out there for a little bit longer. See if anything really big comes into this hole and wants to eat that whole tailor. I would love it if that happens. Got you. I think it's another salmon. It's getting a little bit dark now, hard to see. It's when you learn to go by feel at night. The tide's come in a fair bit, so the shore dump on the edge is pretty solid. Oh, look, you know what I've done? I've actually hooked my other line. Here's my other line. Oh no, I'm good. I'm off it. So that's just a small salmon. That's probably the smallest one that we've got today. But that'll be sweet to eat. Our smallest one's salmon number 4. But he certainly won't go to waste, that's for sure. I better check my other line because he actually got caught around my live tailor. I'll have to go and check it out. So it was an awesome night on the beach. I came down with 7 live mullet. I used all of my live mullet. The only thing I caught on a live mullet was a nice brim, which is just down there, next to the salmon. I landed 4 salmon using pilchards for bait. I caught a tailor as well that was approximately 30 centimetres long that I put on as a live bait. I actually had that tailor. It's amazing how alive he stayed. I tossed him out 3 times. Each time when I pulled him in, he was really, really alive. I could see my rod tip moving and he was out in a really good zone. I've just actually let him go because he was alive, and I reckon typical. He's a little bit wounded now, although obviously still really lively, but I'll probably chuck him in a big dewy or come along and just swallow him up and easy dinner. Anyways, it's been an epic night. Caught some nice fish to eat, didn't land a big mulloway, but you got to be in it to win it, and I'm totally committed to being in it. And I can recommend that you do the same thing, because you never know when you're going to catch an amazing fish. And in the meantime, you know, words can't describe how good this sort of thing is. Being out in the fresh air, taking home some fresh fish, and just enjoying this beautiful country that we have. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments, and I will be back at you with another video probably in about 1 week. So I'll see you soon.